Choosing a life without them doesn't mean you stop caring about them. It just means that you can't allow them to harm you anymore. But if you don't think your life would be better without them in it, then accept that they have cracks. Try to understand how they got them and help fill them with something that isn't ice. If you can choose anger or empathy, always choose empathy. It's so much healthier than anger. Let's Talk Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This book, I had such a great time reading it. I read this on a trip to Tennessee with one of my friends, and we both just loved this story so much. We were hooked from the intro, and I'll get into that in just a minute in my spoiler section. But so this story follows Emma and Justin, and they meet on a Reddit post because Justin posts that he has this curse where once he dates a girl and they break up, then she meets the next person and ends up marrying that next person. And Emma responds that she has the same thing happen to her. And so they decide to meet to sort of balance out their curses so that they can go on and meet the loves of their lives and be happy and all those things. And so we follow their stories as they are attempting to break their curse. And they also have their own personal stories. One of the things that I really love about Abby Jimenez is that each of her characters has some sort of real life thing happening. It's not just a filler thing that happens like, oh, I'm just trying to get a new job or, something stupid that doesn't even really matter. No, her characters always have something that they are actually trying to accomplish and actually trying to do. And it has real life stakes in it. And in this book, they definitely have real life stakes. We have Emma, who is dealing with a complicated relationship with her mom and dealing with the trauma of her past. And Justin is dealing with his mom and her choices and how her choices have affected him and have affected the whole family. And so we follow them as they are attempting to deal with both those things, but also deal with their relationship. I love Abby Jimenez's characters. They always feel very real, and they always feel like they're interacting in a way that actual people would interact. Like, they're funny and they're smart alecky and they're witty, but they will also sometimes do embarrassing things just depending on which book you're reading. And they feel really real. It's not cheesy at all, which I just love. And you have to fall for her characters. Like, they're just too real and too honest, and you just can't not fall for them. One thing to know about Abby Jimenez's books, at least in this set, is that they are companion novels, so there are a lot of tie-ins to other books. So like you'll follow a briefly mentioned character from a different story. And this one has several in it. So if you're really trying to like look for those Easter eggs, then you really need to read Yours Truly, Part of Your World, and maybe the playlist of Happily Ever After or something like that. It might be that one too. But I definitely know for sure Yours Truly and Part of Your World are connected. You can absolutely listen to this or read this without reading the others. But if you want those Easter eggs, then I would really recommend reading those first. Especially Part of Your World, because that one ties in more than Yours Truly does. I absolutely love Emma and Justin's relationship. I love their interactions. He's very steady and she needs very steady. She is a traveling nurse, and so her and her friend Maddie are in places just for like 3 months at a time. If that. No, I think it was like 6 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, 3 months at a time. And then they're moving somewhere else. Like, they are always on the go. They never really settle down. And the only thing steady in Emma's life is Maddie. And so Justin being as steady as he is, it really benefits Emma. Like, she can really learn from that. And with Justin, Emma teaches him a lot about empathy and how to see people for who they are and meet them where they are, and he really needs that, especially to help him with what he's going through with his own family. And they really help each other grow, but they also accept each other where they are, which is huge. So their relationship is, I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, but I mean, I would say it's pretty healthy, even though it starts as a, hey, let's just, benefit from each other's curses. I mean, it's a romance. I don't know that I could say a whole lot more without it being spoilery. So let's jump into the spoiler section. And I mean, and that's the part that is a lot more fun because I get to like gush and talk about all the things. So the biggest thing that I want to talk about first is Justin and how great he is with Emma. And the fact that he sent her surveys before their first dates and like after the first date and all these things, and just like got a feel for what she was wanting and like gave her an opportunity to have her opinion voiced, but at the end of the day, like he made the plan. It's fantastic. Like I would take a survey. I absolutely would take a survey. Like I don't know about y'all, but I like when dates will plan the date. Like I hate choosing. I don't want to choose. Why are you asking me to choose? I don't want to choose. And so I love when they will plan it. And the way that he did it, because like he doesn't know her. Like, yeah, they talk on the phone and they have gotten to know each other a little bit, but like at the end of the day, like he doesn't know her. And so the fact that he will send surveys in order to like get an idea of what she's looking for these dates, oh, it's just so thoughtful. I just love it so much. Like it is fantastic. And I love that she was bold enough to like one reach out and say something. I think Maddie, I think that's her name. It might be Gabby. Yeah, it's Gabby. I think I've said Maddie this whole time. Her friend's name is Gabby. But that I think if I remember correctly, she really like influenced a lot of that. But I think that she was really bold for deciding to go and see him. So let me explain what had happened. Um, when they are done with their term as a nurse and they find somewhere else to go, well, they decided to go to Minnesota where he's from and join a hospital there so that she could actually see him for the summer and get to know him for a little bit. And like that's really bold. Like I don't know that I would be that bold to move cross country to someone I don't know. I don't think that would be that bold. But it probably helps that like she likes to move around and stuff. There was a running theme in here of how like she's always got a bag under her bed. Like she's always ready to go. And that comes into play quite a bit with her history and her trauma and things like that. And then oh my gosh, this scene. So, there's a scene in the book where Emma is really sick and Emma is living on an island. Okay, her and her friend are living on an island because they're renting it. And her friend had taken the boat and because she was going to see her family. And Emma, even though she grew up with him, she didn't want to go. And so she stayed. And she was really sick. And she was just so out of it. Like not answering her phone, nothing. And so Justin freaks out because he knows that she's sick. And so he freaks out. And he goes to her and he's at the lake and he's like, there's no boat. There's no way to get here. Because Emma has the boat at the cottage where she's staying, right? He has no way to get over there. He tries to knock on the owner's home, and the owner didn't answer, and couldn't use their boat, and there was no other boats. This man rowed his way across this lake on a unicorn float so that he could get to her. Like, what? Excuse me. Are you real? Like, who does that? But, like, it was so heartwarming, and we were just like, oh my gosh, like, if only. Because, like, that's something that every woman wants. Like, You want a man who is going to go that extra mile. And it just melted our hearts that he was that determined to get to her. And we were rooting for him the entire time because like he was just so fantastic. And now Justin did have his flaws, because so his mom, she stole money from her job and they ended up firing her, and she has to turn herself in and go to jail. And she's going to go to jail for several years. And so now he has to raise his three younger siblings. And he's really bitter about this. And he's especially bitter because he wanted to not have any ties. And he was really mad because Emma was going to go to Hawaii. And he's like, I mean, if I didn't have these kids, I could have gone to Hawaii with her and spent the month and, gotten a chance to be with her. And he couldn't because he had the kids and he was getting ready to have them. And so that's why Emma came to Minnesota, is because he couldn't follow her. And so she had to convince. I'm always itchy during my videos. I don't know why. My nerves. Anyways, so he gets really mad about that. And his relationship with his mom is really rocky. And so Emma is able to help him through a lot of that because of the fact that she grew up having a rocky relationship with her mom because her mom was in and out of her life. Emma grew up in foster homes, and Emma was always waiting for her mom to come around. And so Emma learned how to meet her mom where she was and love her as she was and not wait for her to change before accepting her for who she was and loving her. And so Emma can really help Justin with that. And he gets to be that steady person in her life. And she really needed that because her mom was in and out, and she has a hard time trusting people because of her mom. And the only person in her life that's ever been like in the inner circle of her heart has been her best friend. And Justin is trying to penetrate that and try to get in there, and and it's a slow thing. And Emma doesn't know how to be stable, and she doesn't know how to not run. And so that becomes a whole thing with them, is her learning how to learn how to stay, because she doesn't stay. And I mean, and that's why they picked the career that they did, was so that she could always keep moving. And we learn that like her best friend is a traveling nurse with her just because she doesn't want to lose her. It's not that she likes all the traveling. She's fine. She can stay and put down roots, but she knows if she loses sight of Emma, she'll never see her again because she's got that part of her mom in her. And her friend didn't want to do that. So she travels with her every time. And so I just love their friendship. Their friendship is incredible. And what's her name? Gabby is she is the epitome of a best friend, and loving her where she is and just being there for her. And I love it. It's so much fun with their interactions and how like they're trying to date and Gabby's giving her advice and all these things, and it's like girlfriends. And Emma really needs that in her life because she doesn't have anybody else. And so I love watching their friendship. Like their friendship is full and meaningful, even though it's a romance novel. Like that relationship still matters in this story. And so I really appreciate that from Abby Jimenez, that just because it's a subplot, it's still full and still really matters. I think Emma's trauma was handled really well in this. So what happens with Emma is when she's dealing with her mom and her mom's being just a wreck, basically. And when things happen to Emma, Emma will get what they call really small. And I love how that's pictured because a lot of times what you see with trauma is like they will go like very internal and they'll like shrink down and quit taking up so much space. And you see that in Emma, and you see that starting to happen in places, but like her friends are able to pull her back out, or you see at the end when she ends up being like, I have to run. And so she runs away. And the only reason why they find her again is because her friend knows her well enough to put some sort of tracker on her and is able to find her. And I love the fact that it wasn't just finding the relationship that helped her come out of that. She met some family and she slowly learned how to put the pieces back together. And it wasn't an overnight thing. It took lots and lots of time in order for her to be ready to be part of an actual healthy relationship. And that's usually my biggest criticism with things like that is when we come into a story and someone has trauma, like, oh, they get into a relationship and now they're perfectly fine. It's not usually how that works. There's usually a lot of growing pains, and I really appreciate that in this story of like her and Justin date, and like he still sees some of that in her, and then they have the big blow up, and then she heals quite a bit and comes back, and even she's like realizing like it's gonna take a lot of time. Like I'm not fully ready, but I'm readier than I ever was, and she knows that. And trauma is like that. Like you're not gonna get healed completely that quickly. Like it takes a lot of time. And so I love that Abby Jimenez has like shown that. I love that we got to explore the complicated relationship that Emma has with Amber, who is her mom. And her mom is very toxic and very in and out and just very unstable. Like she'll be stable for a little while and then unstable. Like she burns this man's house down. Like just burns it down because she's mad at him. And like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? She gets mad at him, throws his clothes all in the yard, and like she'll come and she'll see Emma and then she'll leave again, and she's just very in and out and not very consistent. And she's been like that for all of Emma's life. Like Emma has grown up in foster care because of the fact that her mom will just leave her for days, months, weeks on end. And Emma is constantly giving back to her mom and constantly sending money or like worried about her and all of these things. And as the story progresses, we see that Emma has learned to like meet people where they are because of that relationship, because she loves her mom and she wants that relationship, but she also realizes like how much that relationship hurt her and that she doesn't have to be overly involved in her mom's life. Like she doesn't have to be the one to save her mom. Like her mom has to save herself. And so she kind of starts to learn how to love her from afar and not feed into all of the things that her mom comes up with. I also love that Emma got to meet more of her family. I love that we got to see that. There was like a very small subplot in this book about Emma putting her DNA into this DNA finder thing. I don't even know what it was called. But essentially, it would run your DNA and then it would find matches for family members for you. And she did it, and she didn't really care, didn't really like want to, but her friend kind of like pushed it. And so she did it, and she got the results. And she found out that she has more family than she ever knew she had. Like she had a brother, and she didn't know that. She didn't know that she had grandparents or anybody, and so she finds out and she goes to the family and she meets them, and she actually allows herself to be loved by family. And that was a big part of what helped her grow and heal from a lot of things that her mom had done to her, is by making those family connections. And that's what I love about like the ending. So like after she runs away and she tells Justin that like she can't be with him because she can't be part of a family. And she's not going to be the Amber to his siblings Like, she's just not. And so she leaves and she goes and she lives with her brother and his family and gets to know them. And some time passes and she learns to heal. And she learns to like put down roots and actually be like stable and steady. And then she can come back and be a part of his life if he's still there. And of course, we know that he's still there for her. And so she bonds with his siblings and they love her. And that was a big part of like why she left. She knew that she wasn't going to be good for them the way that she was. And so she left in order to save them from a lot of the hurt that she experienced growing up. And, we see that kind of thing all the time. It's easier to be sort of involved than it is to like never be involved. And it tends to hurt a lot more. So it's easier to be like gone. It's easier on the children to be gone for a while. And so I was really I was really happy with this ending of her healing and coming back. And I love the tie-ins with all the other books. They're so much fun. And I won't tell you the tie-ins just in case you haven't read those so that you don't get spoiled for those because I'm only spoiling this book for you. But I do want to read some more of these quotes. I found so many that I just really loved that really tell the story of this book. But so, the first one. You're not asking too much, he said. You were just asking the wrong person. Ask me instead. And that's so Justin. Like, he's so willing to go above and beyond for those that he cares about. And that that statement is just everything that he's all about. I just love it. You are not what happened to you. You are what you do next. And I love that because it doesn't matter like what's happened to us. What matters is how we respond. What do we do next? Like, people have been through some really horrible, horrible things in life. And we can either let that define us or we can decide differently going forward. Or we have generational trauma or generational poverty or whatever and those things are really hard to get out of. And we don't have to be stuck there. We can decide we can do something different. And like, I just love that. Sometimes the best way to show love or be kind to someone is to meet them where they are. And that completely describes Emma's whole mindset. She is very much on meeting people where they are and loving them as they are. And that's the biggest thing that she teaches Justin how to do. And he was willing to do that with Emma, but he wasn't willing to do that with his mom. And so we get to see him learning how to do that with his mom. And then this is a little bit long one. The best kind of love doesn't happen on moonlit walks and romantic vacations. It happens in between the folds of everyday life. It's not grand gestures that show how you feel. It's all the little secret things you do to make her life better that you never tell her about. I love that. That's so sweet. And it's true though, because anyone can do the romantic gestures, right? But it's what they do in the small things that build up and that create a life together. And those are what matter in the long run. You know, the grand gestures, yeah, they're great, but like they don't really mean anything in the long run because those are like what, once a year maybe. I mean, you do grand gestures more often than that. It's probably a little much. But making the coffee every morning, like those add up, and that's something that you do every day. It's those things that matter the most. And so this one is probably my favorite quote. But let me give some context a little bit. So Justin's mom has this friend Lee, and Lee is wild. Like she's grown, right? But she is wild. Like he's on a date with Emma, and his mom calls or Lee calls, one of the two, and he goes to pick them up because they're drunk and they can't drive, and they were in an Uber, but they got kicked out of the Uber because they had a raccoon, I think, and a baby raccoon that they saved. It was a possum. It was one of the two. And he's like, "You have this animal in my car right now?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, why not? Like, why not?" But so, that's Lee's personality, right? So this is what she says. Talking about this guy that she was dating. She says, "He's gone, Justin. May God rest his soul." Justin says, "Your boyfriend died?" And she says, "He's dead to me." Like, it's hilarious. Like, me and my friend, when we read that, we're like, we're going to start using that. Like, when we have exes, like, he's dead to me, you know? Like, it's just so funny. But so, anyways, I've ranted enough about this. Oh, I didn't tell you about the intro. Oh my gosh. So, let me tell you about the intro, guys. So, the intro, you actually are reading the Reddit post that Justin put. And it's basically one of those "am I the asshole" sort of posts. And he says that he had this friend that he was rooming with, and his friend started dating Justin's ex-girlfriend, and he moved out on him and left him with really high rent, or he could move out. He could break his lease and move out. And so he moves out, and he finds this really tiny apartment where it's like a studio apartment, and he's got this big window, and right outside the big window is this Toilet Bowl King ad. It's a giant billboard, and it's literally a toilet, and it's got poop in it, and it's for like some plumber. It's an ad for a plumber. And so this is his whole view. Like, he gets nothing else but this billboard. And so he's talking about his this relationship with his friend, and how he got this really ugly dog, like super, super, super ugly dog, and he named it after his best friend. And he always calls his best friend Liz, and he's just like, it's so funny. Like, I was so hooked. And so he's basically asking the world, like, my friend's mad at me because I named this dog after him. And he's like, am I the asshole? And so Emma responds, and they talk about that. And so, like, it was just such a creative intro, and I just love it. Like, it was a great intro. Like, we were hooked from like that first little bit. Like, it's just so fun. But anyways, have you read Just for the Summer? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.